Back to my channel. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make this dress, and for that I'm going to be drafting a pattern for the top part. I'm going to be using a princess dart. So guys, if you know how to draft a princess dart already, you can do that. I also have a detailed tutorial on my channel on how to draft the princess dart. I'm going to be doing this on this paper, and this part here is supposed to be on a fold. So whenever I fold it, you know, whenever I go to trace it, I'm going to be marking this, placing this on the folded part of my fabric. So we're starting with the front bodice. The length I have here is basically my shoulder to my waist measurement plus 1 inch. Half an inch I already marked for the bottom and half an inch for the top here. And then guys, the next thing you're going to do is also to mark from your shoulder to your breast point, and then from your shoulder to your underbust. So for me, that's shoulder to breast point at 10, and then to underbust at 14, and then to my waist at 17. Then I have my half an inch of joining it at the top and half an inch of joining it at the bottom. So guys, now the width I also have here is just my bust measurement divided by 4 plus like almost 4 inches. So that's what I have here. So guys, I'm going to go ahead now and insert my shoulder measurement. So the shoulder I'm working with here is going to be 16 divided by 2 is 8. I'm going to mark that here. The only reason I'm marking this on making this a princess dart is because of the neckline, right? So I'm going to come down here 1 inch here for my shoulder slope, and then I'm going to go down, mark my armhole, which is 18 divided by 2 is 9, so it falls into the same line as this here. Connect it in a straight line. So guys, I'm also going to I'm going to leave the neckline, but inside my bust measurement, which is 42 divided by 4 is 10.5. Mark that here, and then I'm going to also come down here. I already marked my shoulder slope. Mark about 2 inches of your basic neckline, right? And then connect this to this point here. So guys, this armhole that I marked here, I'm going to find the center, which is 4.5. is 9 inches down. 4.5, come in here by half an inch, and then I'm going to connect it from this point, the top point here, to this half an inch in a straight line, and then I'm going to use a curve to join this bottom. So guys, you see it's straight line down, then curve down here. So guys, after that I'm going to add my nipple to nipple divided by 2, which is 8 divided by 2 is 4 plus 1 inch plus half an inch, which is going to be 4.5. I'm going to mark it on my breast point line. Down on this line I'm going to remove 1, and then down on this line also I'm going to remove 1 here. And then, sorry, I'm going to remove half. So I mark nipple to nipple divided by 2 for me is 4. I added half an inch to it on this first line. On this second line, I removed the half an inch, marked 4, marked 4. So now I'm going to connect these two as a straight line, because both of them are 4 inches from the edge, right? But this one is 4.5 going this way, so it's going to be a little bit slanted this way, right? So now guys, the next thing I have to do is just to go ahead now. On this line, I'm going to mark the curve I have here. That's this curved armhole part. I'm going to check what it is with my tape. So that is 10. I'm going to find that halfway through, which is going to be 5. And so that is somewhere here, which is 5 inches, right? Halfway through your armhole, whatever you curved here, halfway through that is 5 for me. So I'm going to, on that line, I'm going to connect it to this point. So I've connected it. Next thing I have to do, guys, if you're making it a bust here, then you can check out my video, but this is just to try to give it a dart so that the armhole will not be gaping because of the way it's going to be cut in a triangle. So what I'm going to do now is to split 1.5 in between this here. So that's going to be 0.75 on this side, and then 0.75 on this side. That's between the two sides of this 5 that I marked here, right? And then after that, I'm going to connect it 1 inch before where this point is. 1 inch before this point is where I'm going to connect it. 1 line down, 1 line down. And then on this lower line, I'm going to extend it by 1.5. And then after that, I'm going to add 1.5 to that side, or whatever inches you have here. I think mine, I used 1 inch, so I'm just going to add back that 1 inch here. And then I'm going to extend this line by also 1 inch here. But guys, if you're more on the bustier side, try to split about 1.5 here. So now I'm going to connect this as my new armhole. So guys, after that now, I'm going to go ahead and add about because this here I'm not trying to make it a bust here, so I can do 1 inch, I can do 1.5. So let's say I do about 1.5 here. So I'm going to do 1 inch here instead of 1.5. I'm not trying to make it a bust here, so I'm going to go ahead and connect those two lines together. And then after that, I'm going to also come down 1 inch on this line, because one thing you don't want to do is to connect all your lines to this point, because that's where technically your nipple is. So it's going to be pointy if you do that. And then after that, you're going to give it a curve to this point. So guys, now that I've given it a curve, we are done with smacking. So all we have to do is just to insert our measurement. So down up here, I'm going to just give it my bust measurement divided by 4, right? That's what I have here. Plus this 1 inch I used for this part to complete this armhole. That's what I have here. And then plus maybe extra 2 inches of seam allowance, or you can do 1.5 depending on you. So let's say I do 2 inches. And then down on the waist, I'm going to do the same thing. Waist measurement divided by 4, which is going to be 8.5. Mark that here. Bring these inches, whatever you have here, place it back. So for me, that's 1 inch, place it back here. And then I'm going to put back 2 inches of sewing allowance. So guys, now basically our breasts, our darting is done, drafting is done, is what I want to say. So connect it now. I'm going to go ahead and so now what we have to decide is where you want your points to start, right? If you want to come down 3 inches on your neckline, or how you want that pointiest part of this top to be. Let's say you decide to do 3 inches or 3.5. So I decide to go with 3.5. Let me be sure. So that's from here. Then let's say I did 3.5 down here. And then I'm going to connect it in an angle down this way. So guys, you see I've connected this line down to this point and then curved it into this armhole. So all this part now, all this part from this top here, I'm going to cut it away. So I'm going to cut from here. So now I have the body I'm working with. And then I'm also going to cut off this excess on the side. You see, this is not part of my seam allowance. And then also from this line straight down, and then curve into this part. So guys, if you notice, I also went back and added like 1/4 inch for my sewing allowance at this top part here, because I don't want to take away from these 3 inches of neckline. But guys, it depends on you. If you want, you can still take away, just mark one straight line, and then from that particular one take your seam allowance. So now I'm just going to cut from here. So guys, now we have our body. So this is out, this is out, right? All I have to do now is just to cut this piece out from here. So guys, as you can see, I cut this part out, cut this piece between here out. So all I have to do now is to join this. So I'm going to trace this out on the pattern on my fabric. And guys, there's no seam allowance here. I have all my seam allowances here. So you're going to cut exactly what you have on this pattern and exactly what you have here. And remember, when you're cutting it, it's supposed to be on a fold, especially this center one. You're cutting this one on a fold, and then this one you just need 2 pieces of it. Back panel here, just my basic bodice back panel is what I want to use here. It depends on you. You can use anyone you want. You can still do the so guys, this part here is my zipper allowance for the. So guys, I've marked that here now. So I'm just going to mark a straight line across from here. This is where my top is going to be. So my back bodice here is just going to go straight down this way. So all these other parts, this part now will be cut off. This is what I'm tracing for my back panel, and 2 of it is what I need. As you can see, I've also gone ahead and traced this one on a lining. So this is what it looks like here. So you see this one side of my front, and then you see, like I said, try to trace this one on a fold. The other one, just as long as it's 2. And then you see I have lining. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same for this. So once I cut it now, I'll just go ahead and trace 2 of it out and a lining for it too. Now I'm going to cut the skirt part. So to cut the skirt part, I folded my fabric into 2 using my hip measurement divided by 4 plus 1. That's why I have 13 here. And for the back panel, you're going to add your zipper allowance also. So guys, now I'm going to go ahead and mark my waist measurement divided by 4. And then I'm going to go ahead and also add 1 inch of 1 inch of my seam allowance. Guys, I'm not going to be adding that to the skirt because the ruffle, I'm going to make it to start to my hip. That is just to make the waist like to define the dress a lot more. So if it's going to be flare, I don't see the need of adding that. But if you want, you can just go ahead and also add that to your skirt part. Some people add that, but I'm not going to be doing that. I'm just going to use my waist measurement plus 1 inch, and then my hip measurement plus 1 inch. So come down here, my waist to hip is about somewhere here. I'm going to mark that, and then I'm going to just connect the two together this way. And then after that, the next thing I'm going to do now is just to go ahead and cut this part out, and then we'll define the body of the skirt leg. So guys, it depends on you what you want to do. If you want, you can do directly from the point to your hip measurement, right? With a ruler, just connect it directly to where your waist to your hip is. That's 10 inches down for me. Okay, let me tell you guys first, the length of this skirt in total is about 16 inches, 16.5, right? But that's because I need half an inch to join the top and half an inch for joining this bottom part to the ruffle. So but it depends on you what you want the length of yours to be. So you can use the measurement you're going to use to cut out the skirt is basically the length of the peak of the skirt, right? From your waist to the peak, that's the pointiest part of the skirt, is what you're going to use as the measurement, because the side will still be shaved off, right? So I'm going to go ahead and connect mine to the hip, or I can even go 1 inch above the hip, right? Because the one on the picture, it looks like it's from her hip, and it also looks as if it's 1 inch above her hip. I'm not sure, but I'm just going to do directly to the hip. I'm going to then connect it in a straight line this way. So guys, now I'm going to cut these pieces out. So guys, this is it here. So remember, there's still 1 inch of my side seam here, which I'll still mark, I'll still sew when I'm sewing this. So you see, I've cut this part out. So let me open it up so you guys can see my skirt. So you see, this is the center of my skirt, and then there are 2 back panels here. So let me split open the back panel. So guys, this is my front, and then this is the back here, 2 pieces for the back, because there's going to be a zip at the back, and then this is going to be on top in front. So guys, if you want to know how much ruffle you're going to need, it depends on the fabric you're working with. So basically you have to measure from here down to this point, and then down to this. So I have about 30 inches. So that's for the front, and then 30 inches for the back also. Guys, now you have to check 30 inches times what you want to use. Like maybe you want to use times 2 of that, or you want to use times 3. So 30 plus 30, right? That's 30 for the front, 30 for the back. So that's 60 for the whole circle, for the whole opening. So you now have to decide if you want to use times 2 of that. So that's 120, or times 2.5 times 3, depending on how full you want the gather to be. So whatever you decide to use, I think I'm going to use times 2.5, right? For that. So it depends on you what you want to do. So I'm going to use it together, just gather it round this here, and then I'm also going to, you're going to check the length you want your gather, the length of the flare. That's whatever you're calculating, just calculate it in such a way that whatever you add to it will give you the length of the dress you're working with, right? So for me, I might do 10 inches. That's 10 inches for the length of the gather. That 10 inches, I'm going to add 1.5 to it, 1 inch of folding the edge that is going to be at the bottom, and then I'm going to need half an inch to join it to the body. So in total, that will be 11.5. So I'm going to cut fabric, rectangular fabric of length 11.5, width, that's 60 times 2.5. So I'm going to do that now, add it to my skirt, join the 2 sides, and then we'll come back and finish up the top part. So guys, this is it here. I've gone ahead and joined the bottom part. So this is what it looks like, and I've joined the ruffle. Guys, like I said before, if you want this V here to be more prominent, go up a little bit more after the hip line, right? Go up some more if you want that, maybe 1 or 2 inches above that. It depends on you, so that this angle can show more. So this is what mine looks like at the moment. You see, I didn't put that, but the waist is still the same as the waist of the top. This is where my side seam is. This is also the side seam of my skirt. You see, it fits. But if you want, you can still add your dart. It doesn't matter. So this is the back. I left room for my zip allowance here. So now let's go over to the top. I've joined everything on this top. Let me explain. So guys, this is how you're going to join your top. You're going to go ahead and join. You see my center seam, this dart here, this particular one, you see it here. remember, like I said, you were supposed to cut it on a fold. So you see one side of it is this, and then the other side of it is this. It was cut on a fold, and then this side one, you're going to join it to the side, and the other side, you're going to join it to this side. And then after that, the back panel, you're going to take it and join it to the edge, these two sides here. You see my back panel, I dart it at the center and then added it to the two sides. So that's basically it. All I have to do now is just to close this up. Now this is what it's going to look like. And then I'm going to, so guys, remember I used lining to turn it over. So how I used the lining is just after joining the body of my dress, I cut the same lining of center side, the two sides. So what I did was just to join it the same way I joined the lining, and then flip it over with this lining. So you're going to place the wrong side, this right side here, you're going to place the right side of the lining too. So now the two wrong sides of the seam are facing out, and then you're going to sew it here. And while sewing it, fix this in between, so that once you turn it inside out, you're going to bring out this here. So guys, let me show you what I'm saying. You see, this is the wrong side, the two wrong sides are here, and then you see at the peak here is where my two belts, these two straps are. So you fix it from the inside. So that's basically how I did mine. So you see how neat the inside of my center lining is. So that's how. So guys, after that, now I'm just going to take this strap this way. You see, I made it as long as possible so that once I wear it, I can be able to pin it down, because right now I wouldn't know how much I need to pin it down until I wear it. So once I wear it, I'm going to sew it down to the back. So guys, I'm going to attach this to the skirt part, and then I'm going to insert a zip at the back. I've joined mine together. It's looking pretty. Guys, see, I had to reduce the length because I figured the length I was using, I tested it out, it was not nice. So I had to reduce the length of my dress, both the angle. So now let me tell you guys what I used. So I used 7 inches for the side, and then at the peak I used 12 inches, right? So that means when cutting it, you might need about 13 inches here, because of half an inch at the top, half an inch at the bottom, and then 8 inches here, half an inch at the top, half an inch at the bottom. When you're done, you'll be left with 7. When you're done here, you'll be left with 12, and then you angle it. So guys, see the back of my own here. So you see the back, this is what it looks like. You see my zip going up, then the strap. Guys, I had to use enough, and then I wore it, and then I used chalk to mark it. So this is what it looks like now. So guys, that's basically it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. Bye.